the story you wrote, PLACAS. What brought you into the world of PLACAS? What is their meaning to you?
Much of my work comes out of my experience in the mission. So in 2008, there was the Edwin Ramos and Tony Bologna murder case that happened, which included the unfortunate death of three men in the Excelsior district who died, and the person they accused of having committed that crime was a man named Edwin Ramos, who was a Salvadoran immigrant, who was said to also be a member of the MS-13. In the process of researching the crime, they found out that Edwin Ramos had been arrested as a juvenile and had been let go and not reported to ICE, to the immigration services. And so what they started to say was that heinous crimes like this, and I mean I mean a lot of the politicians, a lot of the right wing, and a lot of the press in San Francisco started to say that murders like this are committed by Central American immigrant youth. And so there was a big, I guess, backlash against Central American youth, and at the time they began to dismantle the sanctuary city policy based on this issue. So Ana Perez and Andrew Wood got together. Ana Perez was the executive director of Carecen, and Andrew Wood is the executive director of the San Francisco International Arts Festival, and they wanted to come up with a plan to basically counter this narrative of Central American youth being predatory monsters, undocumented gangbanging drug dealers, and that they wanted to show that no, this community has plenty of positive struggling youth, and so they asked me to write a play addressing those issues.
Awesome. What do these symbols, I know some PLACAS, some tattoos have more indigenous roots, more family history. What is the juxtaposition? Where do you see that coming within your play? Well,
part of what I learned working with Carecen is their services, which include tattoo removal, and the Second Chance program is basically for anybody who is interested in removing their tattoos for whatever reason, but priority is given to youth under the age of 25 who are on probation, who are trying to remove themselves from the negative impact of gangs. And I say negative impact because I don't believe that all gangs are bad. I believe that some gangs offer support that families can't. So there are elements, though, when you have a gang tattoo that create barriers to work, to education, to regular social living. You know, facial tattoos, neck tattoos. Sometimes those aren't always accepted and can actually be detrimental to your health if you know an enemy may see you or a rival may see you. Right. So gang tattoos signify one thing. A tattoo with "I love mom" signifies another. You know, and so what I wanted to really look at is, you know, how do gangs identify themselves through the tattoo? What does it mean to tattoo your identity as a member of a gang on yourself? And then what does it mean to remove that identity? Like, wow, you know, I've been working for 3 years, people going through tattoo removal, and seeing them go through the pain of the laser, seeing what the tattoos have done to their lives, how it's, you know, how they've been stigmatized in society as bad people because of their tattoos, how lives have been threatened, and you know, I don't believe that tattoos are bad. I just believe that, you know, people choose tattoos, certain types of tattoos to represent themselves, and I'm interested in that story of why they choose certain tattoos, what certain tattoos signify, right? Because there are tribal tattoos that actually mean something, and then there's the hipster who wants a tribal tattoo to look cool. Those are two different ways of using tattoos, you know. But sometimes, you know, you get a tattoo of your child's name, or you can get the tattoo of your hood. I mean, they are ways in which we choose to define ourselves, but they have different effects in society. So I was very interested in seeing what do gang tattoos mean? How do they impact the way that person who has that tattoo? How does that tattoo define him? How does that, or her? How does she express herself with these tattoos?
So focusing on society and culture, how and why did you decide to focus on a migrating family from El Salvador during the war and then moving them into the Bay Area? How was the development and your ideas of these characters?
So I interviewed over 100 people over a 3-year process, and those were all set up through Carecen and through a man named Alex Sanchez. So Alex Sanchez is the founder of Homies Unidos. He was my consultant on the play. Homies Unidos is a gang intervention program, second chance program, a support program for folks impacted by gangs in Los Angeles, Central Americans mostly. So he basically helped me, guided me through the process of the interviews, and out of the interviews, I got some incredible stories, very heart-wrenching, painful stories, a lot of stories about love too, which I think people really don't understand the love that certain members of so-called gangs have. You know, like the reason they're together is because they love each other in a lot of ways. Doesn't mean that there isn't dysfunction like in any family. But what I came out of it was understanding that gang members love each other, are there for each other, support each other, are human beings, our brothers, our sisters, our family members, and oftentimes we forget about that. So what I wanted to focus on was a family, literally, of gang members. And they were all based on true stories that I had heard out of the interviews. So, for instance, the main character, PLACAS, is a Central American, a Salvadoran immigrant who came as a refugee of the war, a civil war in El Salvador in the 80s as a child. But he was separated from his mother, and his mother stayed in El Salvador, and his father went to San Francisco. This was based on a true story that I heard. But then I heard so many stories that a lot of them began to sound kind of similar. So I put them together into composites, and I created a family that actually had 3 members with 3 different gangs to represent really the San Francisco kind of experience of gangs. In San Francisco we have a very different gang structure as far as Latino gangs are concerned. In San Francisco we have the Northerners, the Southerners, and then we have the MS, or the Mara Salvatrucha, or Central Americans. Not that there isn't Central Americans in every one of the sets. The good thing about San Francisco is that we have such a diversity of Latinos, and at the same time we have this kind of stigma that is produced from top down, doesn't come from our own community, but people look at us as if we're a violent community. But not necessarily. You know, poverty breeds violence, and that's where a lot of the gang violence comes from, is for people who are desperate to survive. So I really thought that looking at a family with a mother who's from the South, or a sureño, father who is a MS, and a son who was raised in a norteño neighborhood, would really give people an idea of the type of dynamic of street culture that we have in the mission. So that's where I took it based on the interviews, created a story. There was a man I interviewed he was a member of the MS. His son grew up in Oakland, was a norteño, and for him to go see his son was a risk to his life. So I wrote about that.
So when is the premiere of the play?
So PLACAS, the Most Dangerous Tattoo, will premiere September 6th through the 16th, September 16th at the Lorraine Hansberry Theater. For more information, you can go to the San Francisco International Arts Festival website, which is sfiaf.org. And you can get tickets there. You can get all the information. You can see pictures. You can get descriptions of the show. I don't know when this is airing, but we're really interested in seeing pictures of people's tattoos, to see the variety of tattoos San Francisco has. So you can also look it up on Facebook under PLACAS. So Facebook, I think it's facebook.com/PLACAS, and you can check out the Facebook website, and you can look at the people's tattoos that they have posted up.